Oh hey, and welcome to the second vlog for the month of May. I'm starting this just a couple of days after wrapping up the first one, so doing a little bit better this time. I was almost done with The Cartographers by Ping Shepherd in the first one, so I'm not gonna describe the plot or how I was feeling about it up to that point. I'll link the first vlog below if you want to get more of a full description of this one. But I did read the last bit of it. I overall absolutely enjoyed this book a lot. I love the mystery and just had a fun ride throughout the entire book. A couple things about the ending that were just interesting choices, and I can definitely see some people not liking it, but I really, really enjoyed this one a lot. So I did get to finish that. I'm still physically reading Only a Monster by Vanessa Lynn. I don't particularly want to talk a ton about this one at this point. I'm about halfway through. I'll talk a little bit more about this one later. I just want to have kind of a quick check-in, and I mostly want to talk about Daughter of the Moon Goddess. I did start this on audio. I'm also actually following physically as much as I can, but it's okay, so the light is going to make this hard to tell. This is one of the most stunning books I own. First of all, this cover is gorgeous, and they kept the flowers going on the side here, and I also absolutely love the end papers here with this just gorgeous artwork. I'm obsessed. Anyway, so in this one you follow our main character. Her name is Xing Yan, and she's the daughter of the moon goddess, and so kind of the setup happens very, very quickly. So I'm only a little over 100 pages in at this point, and kind of the full setup has happened that's described in the dust jacket. So our main character finds out that her mother is actually kind of being held captive in a sense on the moon where they live by the celestial emperor, and she's not allowed to leave, and she's kind of been so she's there because she ultimately took an elixir of life from her husband. She was mortal, and her husband was immortal, and she took an elixir of life that was supposed to be his. What the Celestial Emperor and others don't know is that she took it in an effort to save her daughter, and no one knew that she was going to have a daughter, and she kept that a secret. And so she couldn't really explain why she took this elixir. She was kind of banished, but she wants to protect her daughter and not really have anyone know that her daughter exists, because they don't want her to target her daughter as well in an effort to kind of punish her. And so at the beginning of the story, our main character's magic kind of, I say flares, she like uses her magic a little bit unintentionally, and it draws the attention of the Celestial Emperor, or actually the Empress goes, and also there's kind of her bodyguard and some of her other people that go with her visit our main character's mother and basically say, we saw something weird, and basically they're just going to be watching her closely. And so her mother wants to send our main character away so that with the eye of the Celestial Emperor and Empress on her, they don't find her daughter as well. So she sends her away, and her daughter ends up she could end up in a place and needs to kind of find her way. She ends up being kind of a lady's maid to someone who, has a lot of power and money and influence, and is having a miserable time of it. She is cleaning the stain off of some clothes at one point and runs into someone and is starting to talk to him, and then when the person that she works for is trying to come find her to chastise her for taking so long, that's when she finds out that the person that she's talking to is someone else important and influential. And she is able to actually enter a competition to be able to kind of study and be alongside the Celestial Prince, and is selected for that, and is going to going to the palace basically to study and learn with the prince and kind of help him, and she's also kind of waits on him a little bit, or kind of helps him a little bit, but he doesn't particularly want that. He just wants to be able to study with someone and learn with someone alongside someone. And his mom is kind of insisting that he have someone in that position, and so he's trying to at least fill that position with someone who is going to treat him like a person and not only treat him as a prince, or recognize him as a prince, or make feel like they're inferior because he's a prince. And so he has chosen her for that reason, and so this all happens very quickly. And so right now, she's basically trying to train and learn alongside him, and she's trying to get her magic, learn what her magic is, and be able to use her magic to be able to eventually help her mother. And she's trying to figure out what she can do to get back to her mother and protect her mother. I'm loving the writing. I'm listening to the audiobook as well. I'm loving the narrator, but I'm loving the writing. The prose is absolutely gorgeous, and you really feel, I felt very quickly for our main character. My emotions were kind of tied in very quickly, and again, it's happening pretty quickly, so there's kind of a lot of just intrigue and stuff happening at a pretty fast pace. So some of those elements she doesn't really dwell on, like the competition, for example, where in some books the competition is kind of the whole point of the story. For example, that's just a very small part of it. Anyway, so things are moving and happening pretty quickly, but I'm very intrigued by our characters. I'm very intrigued by her dynamic with the Celestial Prince, and I'm having a good time. So I'm very anxious to continue reading this one, and will give you more updates and let you know how it's going for me. But yeah, and so I will check in later. Oops. I was so hopeful that this vlog would go better and that I would check in more regularly, but it is a couple of weeks later. It is June 3rd currently, so I'm gonna wrap up. Can I even call this a vlog anymore? I'm gonna wrap up this video where I check in twice over the span of a couple of weeks on what I'm reading. And so when I last checked in, I think I was a little bit into Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Sue Lin Tan. I have since finished that one. I loved this one. I love this one so much. I think I talked about this setup and talked about how time moves very quickly. She covers quite a bit of time in this main character's life very quickly. So, things move quickly. She doesn't focus on major events that happen for very long. They're kind of, situations will arise and they'll kind of be resolved very quickly. Another situation will arise, it'll be resolved very quickly. So if that's not something you enjoy in books, then just note that. But I loved it. I loved the writing style. I just loved the whimsy and the fun in this book. And it was very much fairy tale vibes, and which I really enjoyed. I apparently was just in the mood for that, and really enjoyed this one. Just had a fun time with our main character and just the situations that she got in, trying to do what she can to win favor from the Celestial Emperor and some of the these important political figures, and win favor from them so that she can protect her mother, and just the things that she needs to do in order to do that, and finding out who she can trust and who she can't trust. And there are a bunch of found family elements that I really loved in here. Just super whimsical fun. The writing was pretty lyrical, not the most not the most purple prose that I've ever read, for sure, but definitely just whimsical, lyrical writing. And I just had such a good time with this one. I also finished The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by Axio. I like this one a lot. I liked it slightly less than Daughter of the Moon Goddess, I think, but I still had a lot of fun with this one. So in this community, every year there are women who are sacrificed to the sea god, and the sea god needs to find his one true bride in order to kind of break a curse that's happening, and so that he can continue to protect the people of this land. So they're offering a sacrifice every year in an effort to see if the sea god can find his true bride. And our main character, his brother's love interest, so our main character, her brother's love interest is the person who's selected, and so she actually at the last minute decides to jump in her stead and see if she can both protect her and protect her brother, and goes down, has a whole series of adventures with trying to figure out what this curse is, what she can do to break it. She has a certain amount of time. There's a lot here that deals with the spirit realms and like this thread of connection between people. That was pretty interesting. The cast of side characters was super fun. I really liked some of the side characters in this one as well. The elements were there. It was super fun. I think it was less memorable for me than Daughter of the Moon Goddess, but still a lot of fun. And then after that one, I picked up A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross, and also really loved this one. Very different vibe. So it's still pretty whimsical, I think, in the writing, but very different vibes though. So this one follows Jack, and you actually follow a community of people, but Jack is kind of our main character. And so he is on his way back to his home island. He's been on the mainland for about 10 years, and he's been summoned back to his home island because girls are going missing. There have been a few girls who have gone missing, and they're pretty desperate to try to figure out what's going on. And so he comes back and kind of encounters some people that he hasn't seen for a long time. He never really felt like he belonged in that community. And so he's not only trying to help figure out this mystery, but also trying to figure out what his place is in that community. And, so it results in some interesting interactions with some of the other members of this community. And it's very slowly paced. It's slowly paced. The writing is beautiful, very, as I said, whimsical. The magic seems kind of, it's very soft magic, There are, various healers, but they mostly make different tonics and salves and stuff to heal people. But there are some magical elements, especially dealing with some of the elements. And so it kind of feels like either a spring or fall fantasy novel, very spring vibes. So there are two parts of this island that are kind of very divided and have been in conflict for a long time. And so part of what they're trying to figure out is so they're in the eastern part of this island. They're trying to figure out if people from the west have been taking some of these girls, and so kind of their conflict with the west comes in, and there are some people who are trying to fight for a more peaceful future between those two groups. So there's that element added, which was super interesting. And I love this one. I love the cast of characters. I love this community. I love the conversations about found family, about finding yourself, and also just the conversations about trying to move forward with groups that have been in conflict for a long time, so long that the people who are currently fighting the conflict don't even really have the full context or picture for why things started to go sour in the first place, in terms of the relationship between those two groups. So just very interesting. I love the writing, love the characters. Again, very slow, whimsical story that's very, again, yeah, just feels very elemental, and just the atmosphere was what was super, I think, enjoyable about this. So if you're looking for a slow, atmospheric, elementally magic based fantasy story, this could be a really cool option. And there was one element about some of the reveals that I didn't love, but it overall barely affected my enjoyment of the overall story. And I'm very excited to continue and see what happens to these communities. So that was what I read after that. So I just finished that this morning. And so I'm just going to go ahead and wrap up here and say that for the next vlog, I have just today after finishing that, started Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. And so that'll be the kickoff for the next vlog. I'm already laughing out loud starting this one, but I'm maybe 60 pages in at this point, so I'll leave my thoughts for the next vlog, but that'll come, as I said, in the next vlog. So thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I'll be better in future vlogs about checking in more regularly. But I will leave my Twitter and Instagram link down below, and of course I will leave more information about how you can support the Black Lives Matter movement, and I will see you in the next one. Bye everyone.